You rise to power in the middle of World War II, and suddenly the weight of an entire nation rests on your shoulders. Every night, you wonder if Nazi Germany will invade before dawn, while your so-called allies, like Stalin and the Soviet Union, treat you as nothing more than a pawn. Victory at D-Day makes you a legend, but also leaves you broken, exhausted, and haunted by the cost of war. Do you think you could survive that kind of life? In this video, I'll show you why it truly sucked to be Winston Churchill. You're born premature and fragile, and doctors aren't sure you'll even survive infancy. From the start, life brands you as weak and unlikely to last long. Your father, Lord Randolph Churchill, openly despises you, calling you a failure and disappointment, crushing your confidence before you even grow up. At boarding school, you face brutal punishments and bullying, beaten with canes, mocked by peers, and taught to expect suffering as part of life. You struggle academically, constantly at the bottom of your class, branded as slow and lazy, even though no one bothers to see your potential. You have a speech impediment, turning every classroom recitation into public humiliation. The boy who will one day be a great orator can barely speak. All you want is your parents' approval, but it never comes. Every achievement feels invisible, and every failure is just more proof you're worthless. Your childhood is marked by loneliness and rejection, sitting alone in giant halls, while other children enjoy the warmth of real families you'll never have. The Army becomes your forced career path, not chosen out of passion, but because your father thinks it's the only way to make you a real man. You barely scrape into Sandhurst, entering cavalry because your grades aren't high enough for infantry. Your career begins already marked as second best. As a war correspondent, you chase glory in combat zones, dodging bullets while secretly knowing you're risking your life more for ego than duty. Captured as a POW during the Boer War, you're paraded as a prize by the enemy, humiliated as you realize all your ambitions could end in a cage. Your daring escape from prison camp makes headlines, but every moment is terror, hiding in the dark, hunted like prey, unsure if you'll see another sunrise. You become obsessed with proving yourself, never satisfied, constantly driven by insecurity that you're never good enough for your father or your country. Despite aristocratic roots, you're perpetually broke, forced to churn out endless articles and books just to keep creditors from seizing your lifestyle. In Parliament, you're mocked as an arrogant loudmouth, a man who loves the sound of his own voice but wins few genuine allies. You betray your own party, abandoning the Conservatives for the Liberals, forever branded as a turncoat who can't be trusted by anyone. But one thing you won't betray is smashing that like button, subscribing to the channel, and ringing the bell, because unlike Churchill's allies, will actually stick around. Then the Gallipoli disaster destroys your reputation, leaving you blamed for thousands of deaths in one of the worst failures of World War I. You resign in disgrace, watching your career collapse as colleagues whisper that your political ambitions are finished forever. To redeem yourself, you volunteer for the trenches, dodging shells and death in the mud, proving you're as expendable as the men you sent to die. Your depression, the black dog, never leaves you, shadowing every achievement with suffocating despair and suicidal thoughts. Whiskey and brandy become your medicine, a daily ritual to numb pain and anxiety, until drinking is no longer a habit but a necessity. Cigars consume your lungs, another constant crutch that erodes your health year after year, leaving your body as battered as your mind. Financial ruin stalks you constantly, forcing you to live beyond your means and beg for advances from publishers to maintain appearances. Your writings aren't passion projects, they're survival tools, every page of history written because otherwise your family would starve. In the 1930s, you're mocked as a relic, dismissed as an irrelevant, has been ranting about threats that no one else takes seriously. Your warnings about Hitler are ignored, leaving you screaming into the void as Nazi Germany arms itself while Britain laughs at your paranoia. You lose allies everywhere, distrusted even within your own party, seen as a man too ambitious and too reckless to ever be trusted again. You're branded a warmonger, ridiculed for obsession with Germany, as newspapers paint you as desperate for relevance and addicted to war. You only return to power because Britain is desperate, chosen not out of love, but because no one else is willing to lead against Hitler. The weight of WWII crushes you nightly, with every decision measured in thousands of lives, while bombs rain over the homes you swore to protect. The Blitz destroys London, and you spend sleepless nights in bunkers, helpless as civilians die, while you give speeches about endurance. Every day carries the threat of Nazi invasion, the fear that Britain will fall and you'll go down in history as the man who failed to save it. You live in bomb shelters and bunkers, your bed a cold cot under concrete, never knowing if the next siren will be your last warning. Your own generals challenge you constantly, doubting your judgment and reminding you daily that even your victories could turn into disasters. You ally with Stalin, a man you despise, forced to smile, and shake hands with another dictator just to survive against Nazi Germany. The blood of civilians is on your hands, with bombing campaigns and decisions that incinerate entire cities, decisions that never leave your conscience. The D-Day invasion is your gamble, knowing full well that thousands of soldiers will die horribly under orders you signed with your own hand. Your health collapses mid-war, strokes, exhaustion, and a failing heart, yet you must appear strong while your body betrays you daily. You sleep only a few hours a night, chain smoking and drinking to stay awake, driving yourself into the ground just to keep the fight alive. Your son Randolph becomes a gambler and drunk, a constant embarrassment who turns your family name into a circus of failure. Your daughter Sarah struggles with alcoholism, her life unraveling, while you're too busy with the war to save her. Political rivals circle constantly, waiting for you to falter, smiling to your face while plotting your downfall in smoky backrooms. You depend on Roosevelt, yet America treats Britain like a junior partner, reminding you that your empire is no longer the world's master. At Yalta, you are humiliated, forced to accept Soviet dominance in Eastern Europe, while knowing your country has no leverage to resist. Britain is bankrupt after the war, victory leaving your empire hollow, your nation exhausted, and your legacy already tarnished. The people vote you out in 1945, tossing you aside the moment Hitler is gone, proving you were only ever a tool of convenience. You watch the empire crumble, India gone, colonies rising in revolt, everything your ancestors built dissolving under your leadership. Your Iron Curtain warning is mocked, dismissed as fear-mongering, echoing the same ridicule you endured in the 1930s. You return as Prime Minister old and frail, no longer the fiery war leader, but a fading shadow struggling to keep control. Your second term is plagued by strokes, leaving you half incapacitated while still expected to run a global power. You remain in office only because of loyalty, not competence, your colleagues propping you up like a relic rather than respecting your leadership. Nightmares of war haunt you endlessly, screaming soldiers and burning cities replaying in your mind long after the fighting stops. Young assistants become your crutch, writing your speeches, carrying your weight, hiding the truth that you're too weak to stand alone. You're ridiculed as outdated, mocked for clinging to power, even as your body and mind collapse in front of the world. You retire broken, leaving office as a man who once saved Britain, now barely able to string words together without exhaustion. The world you fought for slips away as the Cold War divides nations and your dream of peace is crushed by nuclear paranoia. You die at 90, broken by war and whiskey, leaving behind statues and speeches, but also scars that no monument will ever heal. And if there's another poor soul you'd like us to tear apart on this channel, drop their name in the comments. Maybe they'll be next on the chopping block. Meanwhile, click on this video to watch another life unravel in misery. Trust me, it sucks just as much.